Welcome, everybody, to the Cannabis Couch. Friday at the close, going into the weekend. I want to make sure I have my cannabis position set up correctly. So I'm going to walk you through what I'm doing right now. Taking a look here at MSOS, the ETF that's based on derivatives. Okay, we're long that position. You see how we've traded it. Okay. So what I was doing yesterday is adding TrueLeaf to more of my portfolios. Again, you can see where we've added it here by looking at the chart. Okay. Yesterday began a follow-on entry point according to the ARMR algo. Let me go over why I'm making sure all my portfolios own at least one US MSO. This is the reason. If we get a reschedule, which is what everybody's expecting, MSOS performs admirably, I think. I think US MSOs move higher. I think TrueLeaf is I think it's the best, so it's a success. But should we get the trifecta, I'm not 100% comfortable that an asset that uses derivatives will perform the way I want in the early days of that shift. Let me explain. The trifecta for me is a deschedule, a closing of the hemp loophole, taking all of the junk that's in gas stations around this country being sold to kids off the market, and the third thing is clamping down on illegal pot shops, which are all over the place, New York, whatever, selling product that is not licensed. That's the trifecta to me. What's the probability of that? I don't know. I'm just sharing with you scenarios. Should there be a deschedule, which I could argue for, I think fairly convincingly. Rescheduling doesn't fix the problem. We've already gone over this, you and I. There's a lot of states that are recreational use. So I'm not exactly sure what rescheduling does. So if you deschedule it and accept the fact that the states will decide what they want to do, but demand licensing, legal grow and facilities, and then initiate a task force to shut down cannabis coming from cartels in Mexico, cannabis coming from, I don't know, China, if that's happening, fake products on the market being sold without any regulation, pretending they're hemp when they're obviously synthetic THC. So if you're Trump and you're fighting a drug war and you say, I'm clamping down, we have a task force to get rid of all this other hemp stuff, all this other marijuana things, but we deschedule and let the states do what they want with legal weed. That would make the most sense to me. If it happens, I'm not 100% sure how a derivative asset like MSOS will trade. What I mean by that is I was out there just yesterday buying shares of TrueLeaf on the Canadian Stock Exchange. It's incredibly difficult to buy any size in TrueLeaf. Bidding forever. The spreads are ridiculous. There's not a lot of stock around. It's tedious work. I can't imagine how they're going to reconcile the books if the trifecta comes in and these stocks skyrocket. I don't know where they're going to find the Trulieve shares on the Canadian Stock Exchange. I know it's a derivative contract. It's advisor shares, has an agreement with, I think it's 3 or 4 counterparties. Bank of New York Mellon's the referee. They have a digital book where cash goes back and forth every day. Okay, I hope it functions. That would be great. But I've lived through markets where derivatives haven't functioned correctly at all. Does anybody remember when the oil market imploded and USO, which was an oil ETF, went negative? People who owned it, it was negative. I lived through the great financial crisis. I remember derivative products issued by Lehman Brothers that should have gone up a lot, and they went to zero because people were creditors of Lehman Brothers. So all I'm saying is there is sometimes an unknown risk in a derivative product. And that risk only shows itself when something like dramatically unexpected occurs. So if it's a reschedule, forget about this conversation. Everything, I assume, goes up. I don't know. I assume these stocks go up on a reschedule, and Trulieve does well, just like MSOS. But if there's something out of left field that's wildly bullish, I just don't know. And so to me, I've got my MSO position on MSOS. I just want a piece of the real thing. And I like to go to the Canadian exchange and actually own shares on the Canadian exchange. Just give it to me. But the pink sheets are fine too. Trulieve's my favorite. I'm doing work on a couple others. I might own 1 or 2 others. There aren't many that I like, though. And to round out my cannabis approach, there's only one Canadian name I want to own, okay? And it's right here. And the reason for a Canadian name, and you can see actually Organigram is outperforming all the other Canadian names. Something's going on in Organigram. 43% of the company is owned by British Tobacco. So you go figure out what you think is happening there in Organigram. But the reason I want one Canadian name is it's totally liquid and everybody can buy it, right? There's a lot of brokerage firms don't let you buy MSOS. They won't let you buy Trulieve. All of which goes away on a reschedule. That's why reschedule should put the stocks up. Reschedule, all of a sudden these companies can trade on the listed exchanges here in the US, and a whole slew of investors that can't own them now can now own them, okay? But until that happens, all those portfolios that, let's say, I don't know, I haven't checked Merrill Lynch in a while, but I don't think Merrill lets you buy MSOS. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But as an example, okay, somebody wants to make an investment in cannabis, but they can't buy MSOS. Well, they just go buy a Canadian stock. I think the best one's Organigram, so that's my position. So I'm positioned now for whatever comes, reschedule, deschedule, whatever. MSOS to Cornerstone, Trulieve, because I want to own the real thing, and Organigram, because the Canadian stocks, we've seen this happen before. They rip higher. Someone says to me, well, they're not US MSO. It doesn't make a difference. Money's trying to get into the space, and they go after liquid assets they can own. So that's the cannabis couch for you today. That's how I'm positioned. Caveat, I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen. There could be something other than a reschedule or a deschedule, and these stocks crash. I don't know. So my final comment to you is position size is key. If things go our way, there'll be multiple entry points along the way to make it a bigger position. So the idea is to position something that won't kill you if it goes against you, but it becomes the cornerstone of your portfolio. That's the bell ring. I got out of here. It's the cornerstone of the portfolio, and then we can build on it later. Everybody have a wonderful trading session. At the end of the day, whatever I've said, please think for yourself, execute your own strategy, and be the smart money.